The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August the 29th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented today by two sponsors. There's Caneswear, your destination for all your Hurricanes merchandise needs. They got it all at Caneswear. And if you don't live in South Florida and can't visit their store on South University Drive in Davie, you can go to Caneswear.com and check them out and get all the latest and greatest Miami gear. And also by GameTime.co. You're looking for a last-second ticket to the Miami game this weekend in Gainesville. You can go to Game Time and assure yourself that you are going to get the best deal. And you can also download the Game Time app. Two ways to use GameTime.co. They are, in my mind, the best of the ticket sites out there to go searching for your best seat at the game, concert, theater of your choice. We'll talk a little bit more about Game Time later in the show. But Matt, today is an interesting day. Today is dedicated to predictions. Okay, and this is the one day a year where I put the guns to my head a little bit and really sit down and think, what can this Miami Hurricanes team do? And we've put a lot of thought into it, really collectively at CaneSport. We've had some different prediction pieces, and we got a couple of them today. You've got my prediction column for the season that we'll talk about here in a second. And we also have a roundtable with our entire staff predicting the Miami-Florida game. So we'll talk about that also. But actually, maybe I'll start with the Miami-Florida game. It's such an interesting matchup. You got so much of the universe just assuming that Miami's going to win this game. All four of us on the CaneSport staff pick Miami in the roundtable that you guys will see on the site this morning. But there's always the danger, that we're sitting there and, we're wearing our orange and green colored glasses and looking at everything like it's going to be hunky-dory and perfect. And it's not likely to be, quite frankly. It's really not. There's a reason why a lot of people around the country are picking Florida to win this game, even though, most people don't think they're going to win more than 4 games this year. They're not a great football team, but it's opening day. They are at home. They are an SEC team that is built relatively well physically at the line of scrimmage. And it figures when you factor in all of that and 41 new players on Miami and a possible acclimation period in this game and some of the question marks that Miami has in the secondary and things like that. And, does Cam Ward not turn the ball over in this game? He's had a propensity for turnovers at times in his career. He's got to protect the football on the road at Florida, probably the biggest game of his life. So there's a lot of elements that are going to go into this thing this weekend, Matt. Let's start there. You predicted that, you predicted that Miami would win 38-28, a 10-point Miami victory. Talk a little bit about why you have that level of confidence and what you're expecting Saturday.
Well, we'll start. There is some breaking injury news. I don't know if people are aware, but I have canal tunnel syndrome. That's how you know the season's beginning, because when you type as much as Matt Shodell does, you get canal tunnel syndrome. I get it every year. So that's how I know the season's starting. As for the 38-28, I'm Mr. Negative, right? I predicted the biggest margin of victory for the Miami Hurricanes over Florida out of all of us, including Azubi Charles, who thinks that Miami is going to go undefeated and the greatest program in the history of the world, No,
Azubi said 34-21.
That's not what I have. Did he change it?
It's 34-21. I don't know if he changed it.
Yeah. He went in there and changed it just because he saw that I had picked by 10. That's ridiculous. That's cheating. I'm changing my prediction 38-0. Okay, Azubi, take that. All right, second most points out of the four of us. But the reason being is, and you can say that most people are expecting that 4 wins. I think actually it's more like 5 to 6 wins, right? 5.5, somewhere in there. And a brutal schedule for Florida. That's why they're predicted to have so few wins. But the reason I think Miami will win fairly easily when it comes to the final scoreboard, it might be close in the fourth quarter, but I think they win by 10 at the end of the day or more, is I really like Miami's matchup of the Miami Hurricanes offense against the Florida defense. I just don't see Florida's defense having gotten any better last year. They lost their top defensive lineman sack-wise to the portal, for God's sakes. Not even graduating and going to the NFL. He just left. He's like, I want out of here, man. This defense sucks. And they were one of the worst defenses in the SEC last year. They have not. Someone was telling me the other day, actually it was on the show, also someone mentioned it, Florida did not fill up its defensive holes with free agents. They plugged a lot of their holes with transfer portal guys, like just another guy, people from other programs who were okay, or a guy from Harvard who was great at Harvard, but, come on, right? Maybe he'll be great, but, he was playing at a much different level. It's so hard to tell how they're going to match up against a whole different type of animal on the offensive line against these defensive linemen. So, I like Miami. I like the matchup of Miami's offensive line against Florida's defensive line. I like the matchup of Miami's receivers, tight ends, and quarterback against the secondary of Florida in particular. I really love that matchup. I think Miami can throw the ball at will. We'll be able to run the ball very successfully. I just don't see Florida stopping Miami. So I see Miami getting 38 points. Honestly, at least 38 points. Like if they don't, it's just because Shannon Dawson decided to be conservative. There's no reason that a really, really good offense, probably the most talented offense we've seen at Miami, I think, since 2002. Like, I honestly believe that. I wouldn't just say it to make people happy. I hate making people happy. When I'm saying it, it must be true because I would rather everyone's miserable. I mean, the biggest addiction for a fan, right, is hope, right? And every year fans are just snorting the hope, right, at this time of year. And I'm the guy who, what's the name of that medication that makes you not be addicted to stuff? Whatever that medication is they give you in the hospital, that's me. Like, I'm constantly trying to push that on you drug-loving, hope sucker people, whatever, who are constantly falling for it, right? For 20 years, Miami Hurricanes fans on August 28th have been full of hope every single year. And I'm usually the guy who's like, no, hold on. Let's look at the reality of it. But this year, for the first time, I think, since I can remember, I'm predicting double-digit wins. I'm predicting a double-digit point victory in the opener on the road in a really hostile stadium, despite Miami having 41 new players. I guess maybe I'm addicted. I've gotten addicted to hope, and this is a big problem. Now, who's going to give me the emergency medication, if Miami falters against Florida? It's a little scary for me to have this much hope because I never do. So I'm thinking that subconsciously there's something I saw in practices, there's something I heard from boosters or people around the program that has made me feel this way, because usually this is not what goes through my head and is how I feel at all. Everyone knows that. So there's something either wrong with me or right with the program. It's one or the other, and we're going to find out on Saturday, because if Miami loses, I will need to be checked into a hospital to get a large dose of, what's the medication, Gary? You know what it is. Don't pretend you're not an addict. What's that medication you go for when you overdose on stuff? They give it to you in the hospital.
I've never had that problem. I don't know.
Right.
I just overdosed on Matt Shodell. But anyway, so I'm kind of scared because I agree with you. I do. But, we'll have a countdown to kickoff show that'll be on the website later today that I taped with one of the leading experts.
I think it's Narcan. I think that's what they call it. That's what I'll need.
Yes, I think it is.
A lot of Miami Hurricane Narcan if they lose this game. That's what I'll be needing, because
you and
I'll need to get rid of the hope very quickly.
But so I did extensive research into Florida to get ready to prepare for the show, and I encourage everybody later today to watch it. It's Zach Alberverdi is really on top of what's going on with the Gators, and if you want to get yourself ready for this game, it would be a really good show for you guys to watch. But I did an incredible amount of research to get ready to do that show, and I'm not overwhelmed. I mean, I'm really not. My biggest fear going into this game, quite frankly, is that Florida has put a lot of effort to try to get big plays into their offense. They want to be more explosive.
Thank God. I thought you were going to say they were going to run out of chicken nuggets in the press box. I'm glad it was actually about football.
Nah, I don't care about food at the press
That's
box.
not your biggest fear that they're going to run out of chicken nuggets in the press box?
But like,
Usually it's what you tell me, but all right.
No, so like last year, Graham Mertz was one of the best in the country at completing footballs. Okay, he had a 72.9 completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. He protects the ball, he completes his passes. But what those stats tell you, and there's more, but what they tell you is that he throws a lot of short balls. I mean, you're not completing 72% of your passes if you're throwing it down the field. And Florida lost their last 5 games despite a quarterback that was completing that high of a percentage of passes. So you lose 5 in a row, your coach is on the hot seat. You're going to spend a little time in the offseason asking yourself, why do we suck? Why do we suck? Why are we losing week after week after week? And one of the things they came up with, probably astutely, is that they're not getting enough big plays on offense, enough game-changing plays. So they have made an effort in the offseason to get the ball down the field more. They went to Arizona State. They got a receiver by the name of Elijah Badger. He had 713 yards, 65 receptions there last year. They got a guy named Eugene Wilson that, I haven't watched a lot of Gator football. He was a freshman last year. I'm told this kid's the real deal, that he's explosive as hell, a dynamic wide receiver. Okay, so you got 2 guys that I would consider relative dudes that you got to assume that they have been working to bust loose a little bit. That now you are relying on the weak spot of this Miami football team, unquestionably, the secondary, to contain. Okay, so that's the danger zone for me. That's what's keeping me awake at night, making me nervous about this game, is the possibility that maybe Florida has been successful in improving their down the field game. And, those guys in the Miami secondary are going to be a little, they're going to be a little, I don't want to use the word scared, because, that's not fair, to use that word, but they're under the lights now. Okay. It's going to be a stadium with 90,000 people. They're not on Green Tree anymore. And other than Mish Powell, who started for Washington last year, who's now playing his first game at Miami, there's not a ton of pedigree there. Darryl Porter had some good games last year, but we don't know who's going to start at the other corner, whether it's Jadaeus Richard or it could be a true freshman, OJ Frederick. We don't know who is going to be out there in the secondary. Jaden Harris will probably be at the safety. He's never done anything here, so it's a concern to me. That's the only thing I can find that compromises this game, because their best running back transferred, their second best running back's been hurt all fall camp, may or may not play.
They're saying he's going to play, by the way. I'm putting a report.
No, they are, but we don't know what kind of shape he's going to be in. Their offensive line is being totally rebuilt. Their defense struggled like heck last year, and it doesn't seem like it's better. They've got a few guys that they feel are decent players, but I don't know that there's anybody on the defense that's going to scare Miami very much. I'm told that linebacker Shamar James is a very, very good player. I'm told that their cornerback Devin Moore is a very, very good player, but I don't see, Matt, like a ton that's going to scare Miami on that side of the ball. So I agree with you. I think that if they play smart and efficiently on offense, they should be able to control the football and score a reasonable amount of points. I picked Miami to win, I think, by 4 in this game. I like that prediction. I think it's going to be tougher than people think it's going to be. I think the game's going to be hanging in the balance in the fourth quarter. But I think by then, hopefully, Miami has settled in, and the fact that Miami does have the better roster, which there's no question in my mind that Miami does, will tilt the scales in the Hurricanes' favor.
Well, Miami's already won because Florida released their official depth chart. So Miami knows exactly who the starters are. Florida has no idea who Miami's landing up. It's over. We already won. Florida made this huge mental bust yesterday and put out their actual depth chart, including my favorite player of all time, Desmond Watson, 6'5", 449 pounds. I heard he is actually, his goal is to actually eat Ahmad Moten before the end of the game. That's what I was told that. I don't know if it's true. But the guy's 450 pounds legit. Like, that's not a typo, okay? He's 450 pounds. And he plays wide receiver for them. So, no, he's defensive tackle. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, they are a big team, physical team. Their offensive line, as you just look at it across the board, I mean, 314, 321, 308, 345, 343 pounds. That's their starting five. They're not one of these teams that you're just going to shove them backwards. Miami's defensive linemen are going to have to be on point. They're going to have to do a lot of stunting. They're going to have to use, leverage. Every ounce of what they have been taught as Miami Hurricanes is going to be required, because this is not a bull rush where you just push the guy backwards into the quarterback. That is not happening in this kind of a game. This is not the kind of game where you're pushing a 450-pound defensive tackle out of the hole so Damian Martinez can run free. Like, this will be a physical gut check game at the line of scrimmage on both sides. So, it's going to be, to me, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this plays out, because another factor, which maybe is getting underplayed, is that a word? A little bit, is and I know Miami obviously has green tree. They practice in the heat, but it's going to be 91, 92 degrees, steamy, 3:30 p.m. game. It's going to be brutal for a first game. And in the old days, Miami would be in fantastic condition, right? Because you had 2-a-days. You're practicing only outdoors. There was no indoor facility. But as you and I both know, they spend about half practices now indoors. There's a lot of concern, obviously, about heat stroke, deservedly so, with what's going on around in the country. But I'm going to be curious to see in the fourth quarter if the entire team for Miami is conditioned to the point that the starters, whoever they may be, are playing most of the reps in the fourth quarter. Do they have to sit out a lot of the second and third quarter so they could play in the fourth quarter if it's a close game? Are they able to still get the same push, the same whatever it may be, the same effectiveness at every position in the fourth quarter, when this game will be exhausting every single one of them? Because let's face it, a rivalry game, hot stadium, game one, these Miami players are going to be jumping up and down on that field, like wasting all their energy before the game, which makes me crazy, by the way, in games like this, right? You're going to see them all running around the field, waving their arms up and down before the game, jumping around, To me, in this game, just stay in front of the AC little fan things, for a while. Go warm up and get back in front of the AC things. Don't waste your energy celebrating before the damn game. I never understand that. I understand there's hype and you want to get excited for a game, but when it's 90, 100 degrees with the heat factor, when it's game one, when you have only had 1-a-days the entire fall and half of them have been indoors, save your energy. Hydrate. When the kickoff starts, that's when you can start wasting your damn energy. Okay, let Florida players run around the stadium getting their fans excited before the game, right? That's just, that's my mentality, is just sit on the bench. That's the kind of exciting person that I am. In bed by 9, eating at 6 p.m., and do not waste your energy before the damn game. Sit on the bench and wait for the game to start.
All right, I'll tell him. Matt,
I said that.
Matt says don't exert any pregame.
I have great advice. Listen, I think outside the box. And is that so terrible to just not? Hey guys, here's my pep speech before the game. Hey guys, don't get excited before the game. Just sit around. I'll give you a little speech with 3 minutes before we take the field. That'll get you hyped up, and let's just do that. That would be my advice. It's hot out there. Stay inside as long as possible.
All right. Next, now we're going to transition to talking about season predictions. But first, let's hear from our friends at CaneSport.
Welcome to CaneSport.
New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
You guys can see from the shots there that CaneSport's got a lot of merchandise, man. And if you can basically outfit your house, your baby, your wife, your girlfriends, yourself, obviously, with just about anything you want: jerseys, t-shirts, sweatshirts, If you need to stock up on chairs and for your tailgates, they will sell you that. Any Canes themed item that you could possibly want, they are very likely to have at Caneswear, which to me is now the most complete Hurricane store out there. Some of the other old school stores that have been around for a while are in decline, and Caneswear is on the ascent, in my opinion. I highly encourage everybody to go check them out. If you can't make it to the store, you could shop Caneswear online at caneswear.com. Now, one other thing I want to tell you about is if you're going to Gainesville Friday night, they're having a big party at, I'm going to put the info up on the screen. It's at a place called Capone's in Gainesville. It starts at 6 o'clock, goes till 2 in the morning. We get a lot of partying in with, I'm told there's going to be 600-700 Canes fans there. So you could party with fellow Canes fans on Friday night if you're in Gainesville. They're going to have a DJ in the patio. It says DJ Hose. Matt questions whether that means there's going to be a DJ and Hose, but
I mean, who's to say?
But they're going to have Uptown Dale from Miami Heat fame there. I have no idea who Casey Chops is. He's going to be there. I don't know who DJ Quick is. He's going to be there. But the whole thing's going to be hosted by Lamar Thomas, and he's really looking forward to it. I spoke to Lamar yesterday, and he's fired up about that. So if you're going to be in Gainesville and you're looking for something to do Friday night, go to caneswear.com. You can get yourself tickets for the Caneswear season opening kickoff party at Capone's in Gainesville. All right, Matt, let's shift gears to now season predictions. I did my annual season preseason column, which I always end with, my best prediction of what the season is going to look like. And, I really believe this is going to be a transition year. I really do. I'm nervous. Miami always, for two decades is disappointed. I feel a little different about this team. And if it doesn't get derailed by injuries and things like that, I really feel that this could be the year that Miami turns the corner. All that said, as part of researching that column, I took a look, at what Vegas is predicting and stuff. And the over-unders drifted from 8.5 to 9.5. It's at 9.5 right now. Okay. Which I think is about right. They're going to win 9 or 10, whatever. But here's what scared the daylights out of me. The overriding majority of money that's going down in Vegas is going on the under. Like, nobody is drinking the Kool-Aid here. Like, nobody's buying into the hype. Nobody's believing that in actuality, Miami will win the ACC. Miami will be in the college football playoff. They think they're going to win, under 9.5 games, which means 9, 8, whatever. I don't know that 9-3 gets it done. I really don't. Like, I don't know if that gets them in the ACC, depending on the 3, obviously, but I don't know if 2 losses, for example, in the ACC gets them in the title game. It's going to obviously depend on what other teams do. I don't know that it gets them in the playoff. If the people that are betting, that are pouring money in on the under on Miami, last I saw, I think it's like minus 160. That's how much money is going in on the under for Miami. Plus 130 if you take the over. Minus 160 on the under. That's pretty significant dollars are going in for Miami to finish under 9.5 wins. So then clearly, started playing with my head a little bit. I'm like, what am I missing? What am I missing? But I look at the worst case scenarios. Okay, what if Cam Ward gets hurt? I feel pretty good about Emory Williams. Reese Poppenbarger, who's going to be the backup quarterback going into the season, I think because they would like to redshirt Emory. And each of them can play 4 games, by the way, without blowing. There's no issues there. And Reese has another year anyway. It's not a factor. But Emory could play 4 games and not lose his red shirt. But if Cam Ward were to get hurt, I think the coaches would have the decision to make. I really do. I am a big Emory Williams believer. So I don't know what they would do. If I had to make a bet, I would say that, Emory Williams would have a great shot to get that nod. But let's hope we don't have to worry about that. The ideal blueprint is Cam Ward plays out the season, does great, and Emery redshirts, and then he's got 3 years if you can win the starting job in the spring to be the next starting quarterback at Miami. I think that's the blueprint. Okay, but that's obviously something that could change the season. There aren't too many other positions where one injury, in my opinion, and Matt, you can comment in a minute and tell me if you agree or disagree, but I don't think there's too many other positions where one injury impacts the season. I mean, Akeem Messidor, a beast of a defensive end. Let's say he were to get hurt. Well, you still have Reuben Bain, Tyler Barron, Elijah Alston, still have pretty good players, to continue forward. And it's like this at pretty much every position, I feel, except the defensive backfield. That's the one place where, to me, they have very little depth and, cannot sustain injuries in the secondary. There would be a significant drop-off, in my opinion, if that happened. So I came in and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go out on the limb. And I hope I don't end up regretting it, but I'm going to go out on the limb and I'm going to say this can be a 10-win football team. And, so I say 10-2. Matt, I think you were lining up about in the same place, if I remember correctly, but your thoughts on where this season will end.
I mean, you're like that 4-year-old kid who went to a museum with his father and wanted to see what was inside the 4,500-year-old Bronze Age vase and tried to pick it up and look at it and wound up shattering it on the floor.
It's hard, man, when you're trying to predict how a football season's going to go. I mean
that's what happened. You want to see what's inside, but you can't. Like, I understand you think that there's depth everywhere, that you think what's going on. I don't think there's depth at defensive tackle when you want to stop the run. I understand they have defensive tackles who can rush the quarterback, but I think defensive tackle depth is extremely thin. I think if either of those guys, Simeon, Barrow, or CJ Clark, if they got hurt, I think there's a huge problem.
You got Marley Cook also.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like, what do you want from me? I mean, I was trying to avoid calling people out. I don't like. I don't like the depth, I'm talking about the other guys behind them. Obviously, you don't have to name them.
Yeah,
I don't like defense.
That is probably not ready. Yeah,
I don't like defensive tackle depth. I don't like linebacker depth. I don't like the secondary depth. I think if Elijah Arroyo got hurt again, we'd have a similar problem to last year. I know you love Elijah Lofton, but he's a true freshman. Like, he's not a blocking.
He's coming.
He's not.
Riley Williams is better this year than last year.
He's better, but he's not a difference maker yet. And Elijah Lofton's not really a tight end. He's more of an H-back, running back, split out. He's not a guy that attaches to the line. So, yeah, if one guy gets hurt at tight end, I think they got a problem. If Elijah Arroyo gets hurt again. I think the offensive line, you can't get hurt. Samson Okunlola didn't show out. I know that Markel Bell maybe will be good enough at tackle if something happened to a tackle, but to be determined. He was in community college last year. The interior guys, Ryan Rodriguez right now is probably the next guy up, right? I'm not sold on him either. So I think there's very few positions you can afford injuries. Unlike you, I don't think this team is deep. I think that's why they had to go in the portal and get all these guys, because there was no depth. If these great players were there, what do they need to go in the portal and pay Damon Martinez $1 million? Not $1 million, but mid six figures. Right. Cam Ward $1.5 million. All these different guys they had to add. Are you now agreeing with me? You're taking back everything you just said for 10 minutes? I mean, that's my idea.
I'm wavering though. You're making great points. I gotta admit. Like, you're making a very good point. I hope I'm not overestimating the depth.
Some positions are deep. Receiver is deep. Defensive end is deep. Other than that, I don't love the quarterback depth like you do. Like this year, I think Emery Williams will be great next year. He didn't get a lot of 1 reps in the fall from what I heard, right? So, they were trying to get Cam Ward integrated on the same page with everyone, which makes sense. So all of a sudden now, bam, hey, you got to be on the same page with all the receivers that you work some reps with them, right? But there's a lot of timing involved. So it's not a smooth transition for Emery or Reese at this point, trying to be the starter on a snap play. Like, hey, Cam's out for the game in the second quarter against Florida. Go get in there. You'll be fine. It's not quite that easy to me. I think if you get a week of practice, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of practice with the ones consistently, I think Emery would be the guy and would be fine. But as you saw last year, when they sort of like all of a sudden, bam, you're in, you get a week of practice, you're in, they refused to run a real offense with him. And I'm not sure, he's still limited. He was still limited in the spring, with the broken arm. And like, I'm just not sure. I'm just saying I'm not sure. I'm not saying
Yeah,
he isn't.
but I think they would run the real offense this year with Emery.
Okay, I'm not saying
he was the guy they put in.
I'm not saying he isn't the answer. I'm saying I'm not sure. So like, I'm not saying there's depth there, because if there's not proven depth that I know will be really good, I'm not calling that depth. I'm like you, who just guesses, hey, he'll be fine. So there's depth.
I already acknowledge what you're saying is very fair.
Okay. Well, then the only positions that I think are deep are receiver and defensive end.
I couldn't stomach going out there and predicting 7.
Oh, and running back. Sorry, running back, receiver, defensive end. 3 positions that I think have depth. The others I don't feel have the depth that they can sustain an injury to their best player at any of those positions. Honestly, Yeah,
I admit it. I couldn't stomach writing a column for this morning talking about the season and saying they're going to win 7 games or 8 games.
No, I predicted 10 wins. You need to stay healthy. The best teams stay healthy. I'm not counting on injuries. If you told me Cam Ward, Francisco Mauigoa, and Jalen Rivers are all going to be hurt in the 3rd game and not play again, I'm going with 7 wins. Like, I'm going with 7 wins at that point. But you make your predictions based on, I think that best players will stay healthy for the most part. That's what I'm making my predictions based on. I can't make predictions based on, we got to assume that every year 3 to 5 of the top guys get hurt, so let's go with 7 wins. Like, that's not how anybody operates, All
right, so you guys have all that on the website today to check out. We have a few other things. We take an in-depth look at the Florida defense. So you could find out what Miami's up against. We have a story with Cam Ward, a story with Mish Powell. And we are going to continue to preview this game for you. By the time we get to Saturday, between the countdown to kickoff shows and the You Bet CaneSport show and all the different articles that we have, you are going to be so informed and you are going to be ready to either watch the game on TV or go to the stadium. So just, make sure we put a lot of work into this. Make sure you guys do check it out. And I'll take that occasion to say that if you like this show, like this channel, and you're on YouTube right now, please hit your subscribe and like buttons. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube in growing our audience. And if you are not yet a CaneSport.com subscriber, we have a kickoff special going on that we have extended till Friday. If you're not a subscriber, new subscribers can get 50% off their first year by using the promo code kickoff24. So your subscriptions allow us to do everything that we do every single day for you guys and to help enhance your fan experience. Your subscriptions are critical to that. And if you're not yet a subscriber, we wholeheartedly encourage you, go to CaneSport.com, join our club, so to speak. And we don't think you'll be happy. We will be grinding every minute to make that a worthwhile endeavor.
Did you say we don't think you'll be happy? I think you said we don't think you'll be happy. Is that what you said? Or am I hearing things?
I said we think you'll be happy.
Okay, you don't think you'll be happy. I could have sworn you said we don't think you'll be happy.
Man, I'm like barely awake right now.
And maybe that's the truth. Maybe these people won't be happy.
I didn't sleep last night. I'm very uptight about this game. I'm powering through here. I hope I said.
Let's do a money back guarantee now. You said they might not be happy. Gary Ferman will personally guarantee that whatever money you want refunded will go to Matt Shodell. I want that in writing, Ferman. Let's do that. Okay, money back guarantee that their money goes to me if they're not happy, because nobody's happy ever in Miami Hurricane land. Hope is the drug that will mess you up, man. Yes. You wake up. How many Sunday mornings have people just woken up like huddled in the corner of their living room with their TV smashed, not really remembering or wanting to remember what happened the day before? I think that's a sign of a hope addiction problem. And I think that's what,
well. Do you know how many smashed TVs
there
are be out there?
Oh, I know. There's a huge hope addiction problem in the Miami Hurricanes nation, and maybe this is the Narcan. Maybe Mario Cristobal is Narcan in human form, and who'll be administrating it to everybody come Saturday. That would be really nice, right? To have intact TVs, sleeping in beds comfortably, sleeping in, having brunch, eating an early bird dinner at 6 p.m., back asleep by 8 p.m., 9 p.m. that night. I mean, that's living the dream, right, everybody? It's fantastic. Party time.
The anecdote to a smashed TV is actually going to the game. And, if you don't already have tickets, there's only one place for you to go, and that is gametime.com. CEO, and they, to me, make it so easy and so functional to get tickets. They have a feature called Game Time Picks, okay, where they filter out all of the fluff. They only show you the most incredible deals on your tickets to the game, and you don't have to waste your time going through thousands of listings to find the seats that you will like once you get to the stadium. And the other thing they let you do is once you find those seats, you click a button and you could see the view from your seat. They've got a picture of what the game will look like from your seat. It's really, really, really amazing. They've got super deals. They have curated deals that allow you to find the best price on the greatest seats. They have last minute deals. So let's say you live a few hours from Gainesville and you decide Saturday one morning, you know what, I'm going to go to the game. You go to gametime.co, you check out their last minute deals that will be there right up until the start of the event. And sometimes even as much as an hour after the event starts, they will still have tickets that you can go get on gametime.co or by way of the Game Time app. They have a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And the thing I love the best when I'm shopping for tickets is you click a little button and you get all in pricing. You don't have to sit there and get a calculator and try to figure out, what kind of crazy fees they're going to add to your ticket purchase. You know exactly what those tickets are going to cost from the minute that you go to check out. And I love it. And I've got tons of experience using gametime.co. I use them for sporting events. I use them for concerts. I use them when I want to go to New York and go to the theater or see a theater show down here in South Florida. I love Game Time CO, and your purchase is always covered with the most flexible customer service policies in the ticketing industry. They've got the lowest price guarantee that I mentioned. If you find a lower price, they will match it and give you a 100%, 10% guarantee. They have event cancellation protection. They have a 24-hour returns guarantee. And get this, you buy your tickets, you lose your job, you need your money back. They have a job loss assurance guarantee that will help you out if you need a refund. They have you covered. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets to any games this football season. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and then when you buy your tickets for the first time and you go to checkout, use the code ON3, ON3, and you will get 20% off your first purchase. Again, create the account, redeem the code ON3 for $20 off. Terms apply, so make sure you read all the terms that are listed on the site that go along with it. But you can buy your tickets in seconds. It just takes a couple taps, and you've got them. So download Game Time today. Get your last-minute tickets. Get your lowest prices guaranteed. What time is it? I say it is game time, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Fantastic. Well done.
Think they'll like that?
Unfortunately, your internet connection cut out. You couldn't hear anything you said for the last 7 minutes. So I don't know. Were you talking about something game something? You said game something, and then they couldn't hear the rest of what you said.
CEO and the Game Time app.
Yeah, nobody can hear any of it, unfortunately.
That is where it's at if you want to get tickets. So highly encourage those of you shopping for tickets, check them out. All right, so a lot of recruiting, believe it or not, going on this week. A lot of players that Miami and Florida are competing for are going to be at this game. The funny thing is, I heard this yesterday. Gators have refused to allow Miami commits to come to the game. If a Miami commit wants to come to the game, they got to go to gametime.co and buy their tickets. They are not getting comped in by the Gators, which is pretty funny. Usually schools, if a high school prospect wants to come to the game, they let them come to the game. They don't want Miami commits sitting in their recruit section recruiting for the Hurricanes, cheering for the Hurricanes. They want no part of it in Gainesville. So Miami commits are not going to be invited to see the game. They're going to have to come up with a different alternative. But there will be a ton of recruits there. And we're dispatching Steven and Azubi up to Gainesville. We will have the inside story on all those recruits. Everyone that we can talk to, we will. And we are continuing our pregame coverage here for you as well with several recruiting stories. We have, we have the story of Tampa Bay Tech 4-star running back Javari Barnett. His recruitment has slowly been gaining traction over the last 6 months. Miami and Florida are both in the mix. We talked to him about where things stand as the Florida game approaches. He will be in attendance this weekend. We also have a story with Mariana, Florida, 4-star 2026 running back Amari Clemens. He is also feeling a ton of love from Miami and Florida. He will be at the game this weekend. We check in with him to see what's on his mind as the game approaches. And we also have a story on a guy that's a Gator commit, West Broward High 4-star receiver Joshua Moore. He will be attending the game as a Gator recruit and commit. So they're not going to ban him from coming, but he's watching both teams. You can bet the ranch on that. He remains one of Miami's top flip targets. They aren't giving up on this one, I promise you, till the very end of recruiting. And we'll try to catch up with Joshua Moore and get his perceptions after the game and where he stands in his recruitment. And there'll be so much more. So I encourage you guys. We've got stuff going up on the website all throughout the day. Make sure you come back a few times. We are pounding it for you guys to get ready for this Miami, Florida game. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. I'm going to let you take the rest of the time to go check out all the coverage. Post on the message board about what you think of all of our predictions and whether you think we're right or wrong. And we'll check those out later in the day. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thanks again for starting your day with us. We will see you next time, everybody.